Hello and welcome back to another episode of Wrapping My Head Around It, and I've got a very special guest for you today. A mutual friend of mine who is blowing up all over social media, Mr. James Morrell. Hey mate, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good man. Yeah, we had a bit of a nightmare getting in, right?
Yeah. Well, it was all right today, to be fair, but like I was supposed to come to London last weekend to do a show reel, and I put it off a couple times already just because things cropped up on the weekends. And so I cancelled a couple of times, and then by the third time, I went to look at the trains, and all of them were, there was like 4 rail replacement buses, there was no trains. I was like, what the hell's going on now?
Yeah.
So I Googled it, and there was a landslide or something that covered the tracks from Peterborough to London, and I thought, this guy's going to think I'm making this up. Like, yo, bro, I'm sorry I can't make it. There's been a landslide in the flattest part of the country. Like, we're going to have to reschedule again.
Oh, mate, well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to get you on. And obviously, as I said, we know each other through our mutual friend, Mark Jarvis.
Yep.
Shout out to Mark. Hey, Mark.
Big up, Mark.
But I wanted to jump in because we met each other at one of the jobs that I've worked at previously. And you were shooting a short film with Mark that was there. But what I wanted to get into, firstly, is, as I said at the beginning, you're becoming this huge social media star. You've got millions of likes, millions of views, and all of that. So tell us about like where your social media journey started.
Do you know what, like, when I was a kid, like the earliest memory I've got is using my nan's phone. That it was a phone that had a little screen, but also buttons to press as well. Physical buttons, if you even remember that they existed at one point.
Like the Nokia 3310.
Literally, where you could play Snake and that. And I used to make, because back in the day you could pause a video, like you didn't stop it and it creates a new file. You could pause it and then resume that video within the same video recording, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
And so you could pause it and then change the angle. So I used to like make little blue tack men and make stop motion movies with blue tacks and cars, little toy cars and stuff. So my earliest memory, my social media journey began before social media was even a thing, essentially.
That's mad.
But like I've always been making videos. But what happened was like I've tried and failed since I was, since YouTube started. I've got a video, my very first YouTube channel, which is still up, by the way. It's called Toilet Kid 23. And I did a eyebrow dance to Eye of the Tiger. That was like, I think I was about 10 or 11. So that was the first video I posted on social media. But anyway, fast forward to more relevant times. I've failed throughout the years posting YouTube videos, and throughout my life, I've documented different periods of my life. And so on YouTube, you can go back and watch my entire journey from when I had my first audition at drama school to when I had my acceptance come through eventually, and everything in between. So I would take my camera and I'd vlog the experience, and then I would talk about the experience, because that's what I was looking for when I was auditioning for drama school.
Right, yeah.
And so different points of my life, I've documented really sort of poignant periods and parts of my life that have affected me and changed my life. And so a little bit after my drama school experience, TikTok came about, and I refused to download it. But my mum was always like, you just get it. And I'm like, no, it's literally rotting every kid that I see's brain.
Literally. And I was the same as well. I like, obviously TikTok blew over like lockdown and stuff like that. And for me, I was just like, I'm too cool for TikTok. And then I was like, I wish I was on TikTok.
Yeah, man. And like, I used to all the time, I used to be like, no, I'm not getting it. Shut up. Get the kids off it. It's ruining their brain. And then lockdown came around.
Yeah.
And I grabbed my pretty much a backpack full of stuff from my house in London, and I got on the train the day before lockdown was announced, and I walked through the city of London, and it was deserted. Yeah. Only a couple of workers, painting stuff and doing random bits, but I've never seen it like that. It looked like 28 days later.
Do you know what? I was about to say the same thing, because at the time I was working in a pub and they opened up as a shop, and where I worked was so busy, but it was a ghost town. It literally was like a scene out of that.
It is so, like, genuinely, the opening scene where Cillian Murphy wakes up in the hospital and then he goes around London, minus the mess, because there was no mess or trash anywhere, it was deserted. Yeah. But I went home, but I left my Xbox. And obviously we went into an 8-week lockdown, or however long it was. And I was literally, I learned so many sonnets, and I made so many YouTube videos that I exhausted all of my creative efforts. I wrote a spoken word piece that I've never written with. I wrote a freaking one-man play. It's like 30 pages. And I was like, I just want my Xbox now. Like,
yeah.
So in the meantime, I ended up caving and downloading TikTok.
Right, yeah.
And the first video I ever seen was a pale white man dancing in his kitchen, and it was 3 of him. And I thought, this guy's really interesting. So I went onto his account and I was hooked. And it was Paul Breach.
Right, yeah.
And obviously that has relevance a bit later on down the line. But I downloaded the app and I was binging it a bit. And then I thought, this isn't good, so I'll delete it. So I deleted it. And then fast forward up 2021, I moved back to London after lockdown, downloaded TikTok again. And I was just on a dating app, so I was on Hinge chatting to this girl. And she was like, yo, can we go, like, let's go on a date. And I was like, oh, yeah, great, of course. She was like, look, why don't you meet me here at this time on Saturday? So it was at South Bank.
Yeah.
Apparently that's the first red flag. I'm not sure why, but someone goes, so when I was telling the story, they were like, yeah, she said meet you at South Bank, that's the first red flag. But anyway, I was happy to be invited to, somewhere. And I was like, but I'm just going on this, I'm going to go see a play at my drama school. It's at 1 o'clock, should be done by 3, get there by 4, meet you there. She was like, yeah, that's fine. Went and watched the play, text her, yo, I'm on my way. Text her, hey, I'm 10 minutes away. And then didn't get a reply, and I thought, oh, she's probably on the tube. And then I text her again, I was like, yo, I'm here, I'll just be by the skate park. 40 minutes I waited. She didn't read my messages, she didn't answer, she didn't get back to me, she just ghosted me and left me hanging, like, stood me up. So I just made a quick TikTok, and I just put on the text, like, oh, I just got stood up on a date. I'll go get some beers and take my L and go home and play some Xbox. And then I just filmed, it was just a sound over the top of the text over the top of the sound, sorry. And that went viral.
Yeah.
And so from that point on in 2021, I kind of just been posting as much as I can to maintain momentum.
Yeah.
Because nothing worked out for me before.
Yeah.
YouTube and stuff. And I've tried fitness content, sketches, vlogs, gaming, all of it. I've tried it all and it never really worked until TikTok.
Yeah.
And so since then, I've kind of just been binging it, posting as much as I can.
Do you know what the mad thing is, though? And I spoke to, and he was on the show previously, a good friend of mine, Scully Dad, who is doing bits on social media. He told me that he posts up to 10 videos a day when he was first starting.
Yep.
I can't even think of 10 creative ideas or things that happen in my day.
Honest to God, when I first started, something in my brain changed. When I got into the algorithm, because you have to, like, once you get into the algorithm and something works, you absolutely have to jump on that.
Yeah.
And do it to death and do it as much as you can. I still do a trend that I started in 2021 to a sound. It's 2024 now. I still do it now, and it's still people love it. It's, it's a bit of a cringy sort of mime into a song and stuff, but I'd post one of them, then an outfit video, and then something out and about, and then something else, like four in a day. But I don't do that now. I probably post one in every 4 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's right. Like, when you first start, you get sucked into the algorithm, and you're like, oh, I have to keep this momentum up.
Yeah.
And TikTok love quantity over quality. You know?
Exactly. So you were saying earlier about, like, the different stages of what you were going through with, like, social media and stuff like that. So some of the content, obviously, when we first met, Mark told me about what you were going through at the time.
Yep.
And obviously we've spoke about it. You said you're happy to talk about it. But how did your social media change? Because tell us about what happened with you and medically for you.
Yeah. So when like I mentioned earlier about first downloading TikTok, I came across Paul Breach, and I thought, this guy is interesting. And this was when I think he had 30,000 followers.
Yeah.
No one knew who he was. He was just a random bloke in his kitchen. He had a house. His kid was always on the lives with him and stuff. But I always thought, wow, this guy's really interesting. Like, what is going on with this guy? And so I just used to watch him in silent, like everybody else at the time. And I didn't know he had like a little cult following of haters that used to. Anyway, so. The first part of my content was I was just taking the mick out of being single and milking that a little bit. And so I just started doing impressions of Paul Breach, Lawrence, Ed Matthews. But I started doing impressions, and that's what kind of skyrocketed me. Then I got into a relationship, and I obviously just I hadn't been in a nice relationship for a long time, or any relationship for a long time, to be fair. And so when me and my ex-partner got together, I kind of just wanted to show how much I loved her, and we loved each other and stuff. And so I did some relationship content, and then I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease. But I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I first kind of met my ex-girlfriend, actually. And so I didn't really know what was going on. It kind of just everything was going like this. And then next thing you know, overnight, I literally was in hospital, and I was unwell for a 9-day period. I was unwell for 9 days. And by the 9th day, I thought, I couldn't go to the toilet at all.
Yeah.
And by the 9th day, I was at work, because I worked through the whole thing. I was like, "Do you know what? I have to go to the doctors." So I went to the doctors, saw a paramedic. He felt my stomach, and he literally goes, "Okay, right, I'm going to write you a letter. You need to go to A&E right now. Your appendix is about to burst, and if you die before you get to hospital, I'm going to lose my medical license." Word for word, is what he said, and I was like, "If you die, you lose your medical license. Paul, I'm dying," and I'm just sat there like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll just go and do that then." And he gave me a letter, and I left the freaking doctors, and I stood at the bus stop, and it was raining. I thought, where are the fucking cameras?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this is the epitome of depression.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I got on the bus. I sat on the back of the bus thinking, my appendix is about to burst. I'm literally going to die. I'm on a bus and it's going to take me 38 minutes to get to fucking St. George's.
Yeah.
And I got there and they felt my stomach and I did an MRI scan or something and they mentioned Crohn's disease and I didn't really know what it was. I just knew that Dynamo, the magician, had it.
Yeah,
I didn't know what it was.
That. Yeah, yeah.
Because I think a story came out around maybe the year before my diagnosis of his issues going through it again and the steroids that he were on and the effects that has on his body. And also Mark, our friend, he has colitis.
Yeah.
And he was on similar steroids to what Dynamo was on and, you know, seeing the effect on Mark as well when we were at drama school that it had on him physically. And so I was a bit panicked, but like I had to just go home and just, I was in my bed for like 2 weeks in agony, couldn't drink water. And I lost 10 kilos in body weight, around 10 or 12 kilos. Went from like in my 80s to 72. I was stick thin. You could see every bloody muscle on me, which I'm not usually like. I've usually got a little bit of a layer on top. You know what I mean? Quite stocky. And so my content, I kind of just, rather than sort of taking some time to really process, I just jumped straight back into like living my life like it was normal because denial.
Yeah, and you kind of need that thing to focus on because once you've had something traumatic like that, you kind of need a thing to be like, right, that's what I need to tunnel vision in on.
Yeah.
Right?
And it changed my brain chemistry. It made me identify with being a victim. And then that obviously reflects in everything. My attitude at work. You know, I've always had a day job. Do you know what I mean? I'm a grafter, and so when I was at the coffee shop and stuff, because I used to make coffee content, that was what I was known for originally. Like I did the single stuff, but also at the coffee shop, and I do barista sketches, and then I'd do lives at work, and I'd have thousands of people watching the lives. It was amazing. Yeah, I had a really great little sort of setup at work. But then obviously my attitude to life started to really infect every other part. So relationships, friends, you know, my attitude to life, waking up every morning. You know, the pain and the physical aspect of it, just always uncomfortable. And it's jarring because, like, I can't even have a beer or a sandwich or a chocolate without having some kind of effect afterwards. Yeah. And anyway, so I got, that kind of snowballed. And then I did content on Crohn's, obviously documenting the reality of it. Yeah. I've got an issue with like social media. I know it's an illusion and it's not real. And although I use it a lot, I feel a bit guilty if I just show the good stuff. Yeah. Or like, for example, when I was doing the impressions, I started having a weight on my shoulders. Like, oh, I'm riding off the back of people, and I feel a little bit like toxic. And so I kind of wanted to document the reality of the disease in real time, whilst I was also figuring it out. Yeah. And so, you know, made good content, bad content, funny content, all kinds of, all aspects of it. So that was the first thing that happened with my health. And then a fast forward a year, I lost all my hair to alopecia. Jeez. And I very much documented all of that in real time on social media. And I'm so glad I did, regardless of what majority of people, I say majority, regardless of what a small percentage of people say. Yeah. You know, I get it. A grown man crying on social media can be, you can question the intentions behind it. And I understand where it comes from, but I'm so proud of myself for doing it. Absolutely, man. Because I got help. Yeah. And it saved my life. Yeah. You know? That's
the thing. Like, this is the problem that we've got with the stigma around men and mental health. Mm-hmm. If you cry, you're weak. If you're not opening up, you're something else. Like, where the fuck is the boundary? Like, where do we go?
What's the platform? Like, you're like, oh, don't you cry on social media, you wuss. But also, please talk about your feelings. It's like, well, what you like? I get it. Setting your phone up. This is what I understand. I'll do a physical impression of it. Yeah. Not. You know, I was in my car, and I was sat, and I was genuinely like, people don't understand what I'm going through in my physical world. Like, sat at home, all my stuff's in my car. Just moved out of my flat in Manchester. Like, my whole life crashed and burned. Yeah. I'm gonna do something stupid. I got to do it. Sat in my car, and I thought, do you know what? Before that, I'm going to ask for help. Yeah. And I did. And I got help. And it saved my life. And I met loads of sick people. like people that have got alopecia, people that have got other autoimmune conditions, and just people that don't have anything of the sort, all rushing to help and support. And I genuinely can't stress this enough. If you don't feel like something in your physical life is helping or working, use social media as a tool. That's what it is. It's a tool. And if you get something out of it, then that's great. You know, just the main message in that is just always ask for help in every aspect.
Absolutely. And I think that, like we were saying, it's so key to open up and talk about mental health and men's feelings and stuff. And I wanted to ask you as well, at that time, obviously you touched on it before, but how did that make you feel mentally? You know, finding out that you'd just been diagnosed with Crohn's, then obviously the alopecia that come with it as well. Like, a lot of people take a pride in their appearance. And I know that from back in the day, you had a full head of hair at that point as well, right? So how did you feel in that particular moment?
The ironic thing about it all is my mum described it perfectly, actually, which made it click in my head. Growing up, you know, obviously I don't share everything on social media. You know, I've got a pretty dark childhood, but at the same time I had a really good childhood. But it was split perfectly down the middle of a load of crap you shouldn't have as a kid, but also loads of stuff you should have as a kid. But the one thing I could always control was what I put on my body and how I did my hair. And I know that sounds so stupid, and a lot of people have called me a narcissist, and I completely understand where it comes from. But let me just explain this. I didn't have control of what happened to me at home much growing up. And I didn't have control of my emotions when I would be at school. Yeah. And so I didn't feel like I had any place to belong. You know, I would go home and it would be incredibly unsafe and volatile and aggressive, and I would see things and be a part of things that, like, you know, no kid should be a part of, you know. And now being an adult, seeing how, you know, other parents treat children, it overwhelms me sometimes, because I think that's beautiful, and I think that's one thing that I wish I always had. So I'll just lay the foundations there. And so when I'm in my room, you know, like girls at their makeup desk can sit for hours doing their makeup. Like my younger sister just does her makeup for hours. It's really cool. I would sit and I would always pride myself on my hair. Like, I'd always have eyebrow slits in my eyebrow, and it was what I was known for. And all my friends get annoyed at me because I can pull off loads of hairstyles and stuff. Right? Yeah. And also as an actor, it's a freaking tool. Yeah. And I would genuinely at drama school every month have a different look, and I loved expressing myself, and that was the main thing. But the expressing myself part was the thing that I always had control over. You know, if things weren't going well, I could isolate, and I could experiment with my clothes, experiment creatively, writing, poetry, music, you know, whatever it is. And it was always something I was in control of. And when I had that taken away from me without a choice, it terrified me. And also, I didn't know what was happening to my body, man. Yeah. Like, December 2022, I cut a chunk out of my beard when I was trimming it. Me and my girlfriend at the time were going out to a rave, and I was trimming it up, and I was like, fuck. And the ironic thing is for a year, I was growing my hair long, and I just got to the point where I could pin it up. I even did a play for 3 months where the designer was like, I'm going to get your hair cut. And I said, no. Absolutely not. I'm not getting it cut. I'm going to style it so it looks like the period, but I ain't getting it cut, because, you know, I'm telling a designer in my first job, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'm growing my hair long. Yeah. You know, and so there were all these like layers. So I just managed to pin it up, and then I noticed a month after I trimmed my beard that it hadn't grown back. And I thought, what the hell? And it got a bit bigger. And then next thing you know, it took out a fourth of my beard, quarter of my beard, sorry. And then I found a hole at the back of my head, which is still there. That's the first hole that I found is still there.
And it's the last to come back.
And it's the last to go. And it's only tiny now, about that big. But yeah, man, I don't know if like I experienced like psychotic episodes or whatever, but like I just lost my mind completely, and I was like, I was so insecure. Yeah. And I was in a relationship as well, and it was just the Crohn's was the first thing, and it was the seed that planted the tree in me of insecurity. Yeah. You know, no woman is gonna, you know, this is my projection. Yeah, no woman's gonna want to be with a sick man that can't do this, that, and the next thing. And I was trying to be a version of myself that I just wasn't fit for at the time. Yeah. And that got muddled up with the insecurities, and it just was a whole mess. And so I became a very insecure person, especially when all my hair started falling out. Yeah. and I felt lost, confused, and I became a victim, and I developed a mad health anxiety.
Really?
Yeah, like I've got Crohn's disease, right? So like rheumatoid arthritis is another autoimmune condition which I have the symptoms for.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, my fingers get stiff and get stuck like this sometimes, and you know, for example, I'd look at my knuckles sometimes and they'd just be red, just because I'm cold, or like,
Right, yeah.
you know, just maybe knocked them a couple of
Yeah,
times, whatever.
yeah.
And I'd look at my knuckles and I'd be like, I've got arthritis.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
freaking out, and I'd be on Google for ages, like how to solve arthritis. You know what? You know.
Yeah.
And so it had a snowball effect until one day and I started doing, you know, you start treating your body badly, you start having a don't care attitude. You know, I was drinking a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just snowballed. I genuinely, and then I went into self-destruct mode, and I went, oh, whatever. And then I hit a wall, and that's when I asked for help.
Yeah.
Because I just got so sick of, there weren't any further down I could go. I was like, well, I either asked for help or, you know, I just piled the dirt on and call it a day. But
I think that it's so key that you ask for help, because like men take a pride in their appearance as well. Like, for example, for me, I obviously like, I go buy new clothes or I do whatever, and I don't do it that often, but when I do it, I'll go home to my partner and she'll say, oh, that looks really good, or oh, it looks good in that, and I'm like, thanks, that's great. Or you get your haircut and you do it for yourself, or something like that. But men have always, you know, and you touched on it earlier about like TikTokers or like my sisters, your sister, things like that. They'll do their makeup for so long, and you'll see so many influencers that will put content out there that is makeup, that is, you know, doing lives, and I'm doing this, that, and the other, which is great content. Don't get me wrong, and that's got their demographic audience. But I think that for the content that you were putting out and your journey through, you know, talking about Crohn's and the alopecia side of it, that for me was the hard-hitting content that I went on TikTok for. Don't get me wrong, like there's a load of shit on TikTok that we all go on there and we have a doom scroll and we're just going through for hours on end, and you'll see a dog dancing or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Fine. But when you've got someone like yourself who's been through the shittest time of their life and now they've come out of it, and you've been brave enough to document it on social media, where social media is such a horrible place a lot of the time, and you get some little nuggets of goodness in it. Mate, fucking props to you, man.
Do you know what? I love being honest, yeah, because also I feel like not gross, but like I feel my I feel off balance if I'm not being honest.
Yeah.
I know it sounds weird. Like maybe I'm too honest sometimes and I overshare a lot, and that's a trauma response, and I understand that now through therapy and stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely, I definitely overshare a lot, but at the same time, the amount of messages that I get from young men, and this is what is genuinely important to me. I don't make any money on there anymore at the minute anyway. For the last year, I don't do anything for cash or anything like that at the moment. Haven't done for a year. It's just a treacle of a speck of something in a man's head that will just keep them going.
Yeah.
Because genuinely, suicide is the biggest killer of men under 50.
Yeah.
You know, there's one every. The statistics are disgusting. I think it's one every minute, you know, and I've been there at different points throughout my life, and I understand that feeling of actual hopelessness and anger and hurt to the world. I've been to that place. Like if you watch The Joker, for example, it's a perfect depiction of a man with, you know, extreme loneliness and extreme darkness. But like the thing with my content is I just want to just instill a little bit of light. If I can just kick a lad up his arse and just be like, listen, bro, no one's going to come save you. Do the work yourself. It's ugly, but it's going to pay off loads.
Yeah.
That balances me back out. So if I'm feeling a little bit toxic and shit about what I'm posting, and I feel like I'm being fake, or like I'm showcasing the good stuff too much, you know, I'll be able to recenter myself by like dropping an honest video every now and again.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like throwing another hair compilation video out, like the process from, you know, who I was before to who I went to during the middle, and then who I am now.
Yeah.
Because before I thought I knew myself. And the beautiful thing about going through this rubbish with my body is it forced me to take a fucking minute and be like, okay, have actual look at myself, stop going, and just chill for a bit. And it's just made me so much more comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I want to get out there, because when you start going through stuff for the first time, like real life stuff as an adult, you know, and as a man, you don't necessarily feel like you've got anywhere to turn to.
No.
Because of the contradicting freaking things, especially on social media. It sometimes can feel like, oh, this is way too much.
Yeah.
And I want to give up. When actually, stick through it, mate.
Yeah.
kick yourself up the arse, get to the other end, and you'll realise, oh my God, I've just grown.
Yeah.
I've grown loads, and you know, comfort is all right and stuff, but you know,
pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, like you were saying about the tree of anxiety and depression earlier. It's also plants to sow, sows a seed then that you can then grow a tree of confidence and of showing your emotions and stuff like that. And I think that's fucking powerful, man. Fucking powerful.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, bro.
So we were obviously talking about your alopecia. So how's the hair growth going?
Yeah, it's good, mate. It's pretty much
yeah,
back.
there
so
it is.
I'm growing a mullet just to say, f you to what happened, but I'm also aware that it could go at any point.
Yeah.
And I'm all right with that, you know, so long as my mustache stays.
Yeah, I was going to say, your tash game is strong.
Cheers, mate. I shaved off a few weeks ago, and oh my God, I don't know. I look at my videos when I shaved off, I'm like, what are you doing?
Mate, I did I did Movember a few years ago, and my old rugby club rules are that you have to clean shave. Now, I haven't clean shaved in about 12 years, right? And I look like a genuine thumb. Like, if you put that next to me, that is what I look like.
Do you know what I find with like being clean shaven as well? Like if you're like on camera stuff, I don't know, I just feel like my neck's on view. It just makes my face look like it carries on going down here. Do you know what I mean? And like if it was a profile shot, I'd be like, how does that guy fold towels? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't. Dude, if insecurity was a picture, it'd be a photo of me with a clean beard. Beard, do you know what I mean? Like,
it's mad, man. But so, taking your insecurities and then you obviously, like we were talking about, your journey on social media, that then led you to other opportunities because you actually spoke to Lad Bible about this, all didn't you?
Yeah. So I got some cool stuff out of my despair. Lad Bible messaged me and they were like, "We'd love to do an interview on that stuff," and I was like, "Yeah." So I got to go to the Lad Bible office. Unreal, and Emma was lovely. I went into the room, whatever. But so in the reception, they got it's just really cool.
Yeah,
it's a really cool place. And there's a studio behind the reception desk, and on that behind the reception desk, there's like 4 TV screens, and on that TV screen is a compilation of all the people they've interviewed.
Oh,
like all the celebrities. So I did the interview, whatever, and then Emma was like, and I went, oh, that's really cool. Like, oh, you had like Tom Hanks here and all this kind of cool stuff. She was like, yeah, we do all the interviews in there on that chair that you sat on. I went,
what?
Yeah, I got to sit on the same chair as every person that I look up to, and I thought it was just a pinch me moment.
Yeah.
Because I've got imposter syndrome as well. You know what I mean?
Same, yeah.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you could be in an environment that you are well deserving to be in, but you got that voice in your head that's like, haha, you're a fraud. People can find you out soon.
Well, this is the thing. This is what I had, and I know that I spoke about it before, but again, when I used to work in hospitality or when I worked for a bank and this, that, and the other, then I came into this world. Like it's hard for me at times. Now I'm more comfortable in it. Now I'm getting used to it. But in the beginning, I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, who am I? I'm still Dan who's serving like, a beer Moretti down the road. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm just kind of like, okay, now I'm in my shell with it. Now my confidence has grown with it, and that's the big bit.
How have you found going from, for example, you've got stages there. You've got hospitality, which is what we all kind of do after we finish like studies. Then you went into banking, right?
Previously, yeah.
Was it before you went into hospitality?
Yeah, man. Like my CV is as thick as the Yellow Pages. I'll tell you all about it after here, man. But basically, I went from a corporate job in banking to travel, then some other corporate jobs, and then lockdown hit. But at that time, where I got made redundant, then I started working in hospitality just to keep the rent paid. Then we fully locked down, and I was like, shit, can't do anything. That's when I started actually doing the podcast around sort of mental health and wellbeing, because everyone went down. And then after that, it would just sort of snowballed, and here we are today. And like the journey's massive, and I've still got so much more to go.
Yeah, like
I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, good, man, because I found like I've been to a few social media events and stuff like with people that I watch, and the last one I went to, man, like some of my favorite YouTubers, like I've watched TGF, bro, since I watched them when they were in Jay's bedroom at his mum's house when he had like cartoon Marvel wallpaper and had his lip pierced here, and I've watched them grow from like 2 lads in their bedroom to like this massive empire with Childish and their content. And I got to go to one of their events a few weeks ago, and I got to meet Morrell, and do you know, like everyone that we watch on our TikTok timeline and Instagram, they were all there. And like I had people coming up to me saying like, bro, like I've seen your journey and that, I just want to say mad respect. And I'm like, no, I've seen your videos. Don't be saying that. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, I'm your fan, bro. Like, and it's just a process of from the, understanding that we're all just people too. and this is just another job. And my friends who have got sort of regular jobs, I've got a good friend, Owen. I've grown up with that kid, and he's really good at, like, if I'm losing my mind a little bit over, like, comments, for example, he's like, just, you know, look at it as though you are going into an office and it is a normal office, say 9 to 5 dynamic, and you've got people that gossip and you've got people that work, and you've got all these stereotypes. Just look at it as though it's that, and you can switch off.
Yeah.
Post your video and take your foot out, step outside the office after you posted the video, for example. And he's got really good ways of, like, balancing me out a little bit and making it a little bit more normal, because we are just all normal people at the end of the day. But I've found it interesting, like, watching my confidence go from, you know, being in my first event, like, why am I even here, to being at this TGF event, which is so cool for me, going kind of full circle, like the first people I watched on YouTube, and then somehow being invited to an event with them. It's interesting to watch my confidence grow from feeling like I'm not in the right environment to finding my place now. Yeah. You know, and being a part of something that I've longed for my whole life. Yeah. Oh, it's so cool, man. Seriously.
Mad. But, like, one thing that I wanted to ask you, because obviously the content that you're putting out is amazing, but social media is a huge part of everyone's life. Yeah. How would you say that it changed your perception mentally? Like, what would you, in terms of, and what I mean by that is, you know, social media, very negative place. Social media, very positive place. How did you find a balance on the two? Like,
that is such a good question. Because, dude, like, social media addiction is a real thing. And social media hasn't been around for a long time for us to even know the effects it has on our brain psychologically long term from our use of it. And I've definitely experienced, like, obsession over it. And so for a long time, my whole day-to-day sort of my self-worth, my brain chemistry, the way I thought, was dictated over the responses I would get on my videos. And, you know, if it was negative, I'd be negative. Yeah. I'd be in a very negative space. I'd believe things that people would say, and then that would represent in every part of my life. But now I'm way more social media trained. Yeah. It is a negative place, of course it is. It just gives voice to the masses that didn't previously have a platform to have their voice, you know, on words or videos and stuff. So we can just hear all the noise all the time that we couldn't hear before. And I used to get so sucked in and so wound up by it. And I used to, like, I'm a council estate boy, man. I grew up on the fucking in you know, sort of a couple rough places in Peterborough. I'll say that, like, like, it's not, but they like to think it's rough. But I got a bit of a bite in my stomach, you know, like a bit of a fire in my belly. So when people give me jip, I'm just like, I just want to give it back. Yeah. You know, and so I used to get sucked in all the time on lives, especially, and I'd just be giving it back. I even got banned permanently on my main account because I just give it back. Really? Because I just get so wound up by it. But now, like, I've got such a balance, man. Like, social media for me now is a tool. It's not my life. Yeah. And I got sucked into the addiction side of it, and I was doom scrolling all day with it, especially when I was unemployed. Bro, my screen time, disgusting. Yeah. But I feel like I've heard other creators that are at the top of their game talk about this like 5-6 years ago. Yeah. And I just realised now I've experienced the same. You know, you get sucked into this world of attention and likes and comments and everything you think you ever wanted, and it can become quite a negative place, and you can come attached to that. And you think, if I don't get loads of views and likes and comments, my life's ruined. Yeah. But now it's just like, I'll post a video and I won't even think about it. It does well, it does well. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, I've got a full-time job. Yeah. I'm focusing on actually me rather than what I think I want to present to people and what I think I want to be on social media. I'm actually dialed into, like, who do I want James to be now. Now I've gone through, like, Crohn's obviously affects me every day still. The hair loss is, you know, it's a little less intense because it's just, you know, it doesn't cause pain per se. But throughout this and this, it's taught me so much about myself, and I'm well grateful for that journey. Yeah. And it's also helped me balance my relationship with social media as well. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely been a process of finding a balance. Yeah. You know.
So the one thing that I did want to ask you is, you know, what advice would you give to anyone who has recently or was uneducated on Crohn's disease, alopecia, depression, things like that? In terms of the illnesses that you were diagnosed with, what advice would you give to someone who may be listening about going through that journey and that process, apart from go to his TikTok?
Yeah. So at the minute, I've got I posted a video just my recovering from alopecia essentially, and it's doing pretty well at the moment. But since then, I posted it yesterday, I think, and since then I've got hundreds of messages on Instagram, and so I have been just copy and pasting a video that I posted the other day, talking about everything that I did. And so I have just been basically giving them my business card. Like, go watch this video. Go watch this video for everyone. But my advice would genuinely be, go easy on yourself. Yeah, it's not going to be the end of the world. It might be really bad for a long time. But Eric Thomas is this old motivational speaker that I used to watch years ago, my friend Owen. And he had a series called TGI Mondays. So thank God it's Mondays.
Right.
And he had a saying in one of his videos, one of his speeches. He's like, pain is temporary. It may last for a minute, a day, a year, but it will subside. Essentially, my advice is just be kind to yourself while you're going through the worst part of your health, because like if you make it worse for yourself, it's not really fun. It's already pretty crap. So just go easy on yourself. Take as much advice from everyone as you can. Pick and choose what you use, though, because, for example, like the healthy diet conversation, like what is healthy for me won't be healthy for you. You know, you have to listen to your body. If you've got, like, talking about Crohn's disease and alopecia, it's autoimmune related, right? So you need to research how to regulate and control your immune system essentially by how you fuel your body. Dr. Berg on YouTube is a great one. I just shared something on my story from another doctor called Dr. James something on Instagram. He's just like endless free advice.
Yeah.
It's all about fueling your body, I believe. And so, yeah, go easy on yourself. Take some time to process things and roll with the punches, because there'll probably be a lot of them. And just know that it will be all right. It might take a year or two, or you might have to have some gnarly operations and hospital visits and endless amounts of blood taken, but it will be all right, I promise, eventually. Just stick with it. I can't stress that enough, bro. I was at my wit's end. I genuinely was like, I've had enough. Like, I've had enough. When do I just sit and call it a quits, you know? Going back to my childhood and stuff, when do I just sit and think, this is clearly not working for me?
Yeah.
It will work for you. You deserve to be here. You deserve your space. You deserve to be kind to yourself and have people be kind to you, and get rid of any toxic person that's in your life. I'm serious. Your body responds to everything: touch, smell, taste, relationships, people, environments. And that anxious feeling you feel in your stomach, which is where Crohn's disease is it's through your gut and colitis. If your stomach is telling you something, listen to it, man. I'm telling you, I've learned so much about my body. Instinct, you know, is important, you know. So if you're around people that make you feel uncomfortable and anxious and stressed, leave. It's just not worth it. Like, you, even if you're 18 or 28 or 58 and you ain't learnt this lesson, learn it now. And I know you don't want to take advice from people, because I definitely didn't and still don't a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But take this one bit of advice. Just get stress out of your life, man. It ain't worth it. You know, I don't want to say YOLO and that, but you only got one ride, man. So
make the most of it.
Make the most of it. Toxic people and drama and all that crap, it has a real effect on your body, and it had a real effect on my body for a long time.
Yeah.
But my own toxic behaviours as well.
Yeah,
you know? So yeah, that's my genuine, unfiltered advice.
Yeah, thank you, man. That's fucking powerful. I like that a lot.
Cheers.
So you're saying about drama. What is coming up next for you then? Because you've got a couple of acting bits coming up soon as well, right?
Yeah, I'm excited because I left my agent a few months ago. I just got fed up of getting excuses, essentially. I even got your mustache isn't helping. And I get it. I've got a tash, but I can shave it. You know, I've got show reels footage, I've got headshots without a tash. You know, casting directors can see what I look like without a tash. So I ended up just thinking, for 3 years, I've been begging and begging for, like, you know, you send the generic emails like, oh, what can I do to help? Is there anything I can do? You know, is there anything for me at the moment? No. I just got so fed up with that. I thought, you know what? I've fed up of feeling like I ain't worth anything and I'm not wanted. I need to leave and take back control. And since I've done that, I left my agent. And they're really great. I love them to bits. I had a really, really great relationship with my agent. Like, I went up for some insane stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I went up 4 times for Masters of the Air, which is coming out soon.
Yeah.
And a few of my friends are in it, so I'm really excited to watch that. But like, I've gone up for some great stuff, and so I had a really good dynamic with them. I just felt a little bit like I wasn't wanted by the industry, and the expiry date had been and gone.
Yeah.
So I left my agent, and since then I've had a bunch of agents email me asking if I wanted representation. I've said no so far, just because I'm not ready for it yet.
Yeah.
at least I'm not ready for someone else to take control. I just want to have some control a little bit. And
Yeah.
but since then, I apply for majority of things that I apply for on Spotlight. I get an audition tape for,
Yeah.
which is great. So in the summertime, I've got 2 short films coming up in the summertime. A couple of directors messaged me and they were like, "Hey man, I've been watching your content for a little while. I wrote a short film with you in the mind. Do you mind reading it and having a think if you wanted to do it?" And I read I read the first script, and I've not read the second one just yet because it was more recent actually. Yeah. And I read the script and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so sick!" Yes, 100%. So I booked in a short film for the summer, so I got that, and there was a play on the cards, like a musical, but I don't think that's happening now.
Okay.
But so far, 2 short films coming up in the summer, and some commercial representation up in the air, sort of sorting out things. And then in terms of social media and that, I got a deal with Prep Kitchen for 8 weeks. They'll send me meals for 8 weeks, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to document an 8-week shred.
Yeah,
actually, like just take an opportunity to. I've bulked up quite a lot. Showcase their meals and how I implement them into my diet, and document like an 8-week shred.
Yeah.
And so we've got that, and then a couple of other small bits I'm trying to work on.
Jesus, busy man.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's good though, because I've been dossing about for far too long.
Yeah, literally, I'm the same.
I'm what I call a proactive procrastinator.
Yes, that is exactly.
So I do everything I shouldn't do, but I still get that stuff done. So.
Yeah, same here, yeah. Mate, James, thank you so much for coming on. Genuinely, such an incredible chat, and I think that it's so important what you take from this as well, because like, you know, I'm not being funny, but the amount of shit that you've gone through, the love that you've seen on social media, and the fact that now the platforms that you're getting from it, you fully deserve everything.
Thank you, mate.
So yeah,
honestly, it genuinely means a lot, and I love getting to do stuff like this, like even just looking around and being a part of it and being able to chat and stuff. I've literally dreamt of doing this since I was a little boy, and so that's another sort of piece of advice. Just do what you always wanted to do, because it's cool when it pays off.
Yes.
Might just take a few years. But it will, man. You know? But thanks, mate, genuinely.
No, you're welcome, man. Thank you.
Pleasure.